Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm joining you on the welcoming screen here because I'm still setting up a few things. So I thought I'd just sort of chat while I'm doing that. And I think I'll turn the music off. Or, well, yeah, I'll leave it going, but I'm going to take it off my head so I don't hear it. It's very loud in my headphones. I don't know how loud it is for you all. But good morning. Thanks for watching. Good to see you all online. And if you are there, please say hello, say who you are. It's always good to see. I'll just let the nice relaxing drone footage keep playing behind me for a minute or two. I'm setting something up in Discord that we'll be able to use as an activity today, and it just kind of, it's easier for me to explain if it's already set up. So let me just keep doing that for a second. So yeah, good morning. I think that's Sonia, right? So yeah. I'm just having to write my instructions here in this thread. I'm basically creating some threads in a channel, and the idea will be to respond to those images as threads. These are activities from the web literacy textbook, but I'm adding at least one or two more. Where is this thing? I thought I had it up here. It's weird. Nice and rainy day, right? We had some nice warm, summer-like weather there for a bit. But I guess not for long. We're back to March weather. Okay, I'm going to do one more. I know you can't even see what I'm doing, but I'm adding images to try to trace upstream. That's the activity that we're going to look at today. That's the word that Mike Caulfield uses for determining the origin of content. Specifically images today, but any kind of content. All right, cool. Let's see, I think I'm about ready. Let me just clear out some tabs here. Kind of in the middle of working on things here today. Background color. Okay, so let me go ahead and transition over. All right, great. So, all right, thanks for giving me a minute there to get started. Sorry, there was a little bit of a delayed start, but it's good to see you all this morning. This is week 2, day 2, and today I'm going to be talking about some of the techniques that you should be getting ready to try, or maybe you've already started experimenting with from the web literacy textbook, and these are going to be for completing your web literacy assignment in this class, which is, of course, DGST 101, Digital Studies. So this is, today's notes, I don't have a very elaborate slideshow for today. I just have a few things basically to kind of remind us about, and then most of what I want to talk about today is going to be actually just straight from the textbook. So that's what I'm going to be doing. And I've set up some things in Discord for you to do these things on your own. If you're watching now, you can do them live. If you are, if you're watching as I record this, you can do it live. But it's also set up in a way that you can do it on your own if you're accessing this later on. Okay, so I also wanted to, I lost one of my tabs that I actually needed. not that one, not that one, this one, yeah, okay. I'm gonna bring this back up here. I wanted to show you an example of a completed web literacy article just to give you a sense of what you're working toward. Okay, so that's what I have here, and I'll get to that in a little bit. Okay, so week 2, day 2, and the theme, of course, is web literacy. This is what we're working on. In the bigger context, we're also looking at digital culture, and I'm letting you do a lot of that exploration on your own as you're completing a digital culture module from DGST101.net. But what we're doing together, or what we're all doing, what you're all doing, is the web literacy project, which has a pretty specific set of guidelines, a pretty specific set of things. I can tell you a bit about the history of this assignment, but basically I want you to produce articles that are similar in structure or tone, at least, to a Wikipedia article, but also focusing on the kind of topic that you would see on a Snopes.com article or a PolitiFact article. So I've asked you all to submit submit topics for web literacy, and I've responded to, I think, everybody that submitted theirs by last night. Maybe a couple more I still need to get to. If you haven't heard from me, then feel free to send me a reminder. Let me just take a quick look at that in another tab here to see if I have if anyone's responded since I last looked at that. This is just a Google form, and my goal with you all giving me these things is just to be able to help you find good topics, because some topics are better than others, and even among the suggestions, some of those are better than others. I should probably turn off the background music. I just realized that's still going. All right. So this is, so I'm looking at a spreadsheet with all of the responses in it. And I'll just give you a couple of quick kind of general feedback about these. And I've given most of you specific feedback about your topics. What you want to do is you want to get a question. Like, you want to think of your claim, the claim that you're investigating, in terms of a question, ideally a question that has a reasonable possibility of being answered with a yes or no. So that gets back to what I was talking about before yesterday when I was talking about different types of claims. And one type of claim is a claim of fact. And a claim of fact is something you can usually answer with yes or no, because you can say, is it true that the earth is flat? And there's a yes and a no. I mean, there is a right and wrong answer to that. There is, pretty sure we've proved that that's true. Now, sometimes for these topics, there may not be an answer yet, but it is at least possible for there to be an answer someday. And so your answer, as you do the research, might have to be somewhat qualified, but it's still possible. It's still the kind of thing that we are working toward, is the truth of this question, whatever it happens to be. So there's a lot. I'm kind of looking through here. So something like, so I mentioned the earth is flat. A couple of interesting things that I'm seeing come up in some of your suggestions that are new, right? Because I think finding current things is often a lot more interesting. Is a couple of you had topics related to baby formula shortage, shortage. I think that's a pretty interesting thing. I don't know much about what's going on with that, but I imagine there's a lot of disinformation or misinformation about that. People having different ideas about whose fault it is mainly. So that would be something worth investigating, as long as you can boil it down to a question like this. So, can baking soda cure cancer? That was this is an example from a couple years ago. A student that did this one, and the answer is no. Right, so you need to think of something with your baby formula topic that is also answerable yes or no. I don't know what it is. I saw something. I mean, I spent a little bit of time looking around some fake news websites this morning, and I did see some things related to it, but they were mostly just kind of sort of vaguely conspiratorial. They weren't super specific. It had to do with depopulation kind of stuff. So I don't know if that's really enough to dig into, but that could be something. So basically, I would, if you're interested in the baby formula, I would think there are two lines of questioning. Like, is it someone's fault, for example? Like, is it Joe Biden's fault? That's a kind of thing you'll see, a claim that you've seen circulated. Or another thing, like, might be a conspiracy about why there is this shortage. Like, is it in order to depopulate the United States by starving babies? Right. That's another. Those are the two kind of flavors of conspiracy information that I've seen about the baby formula claim. The other things, the other suggestions that I saw had to do with the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial. So someone just mentioned that as a topic, and I think that is obviously a big thing in the news right now. And there are lots of, I'll just call it propaganda. There are really pretty clear campaigns, actually on both sides, to try to influence public opinion about the two litigants there, Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. And there's lots and lots of memes, for example, are coming out of this trial, or like little GIFs from different moments. So it seems like a lot there, but again, you're going to need to focus it on a specific question, like a specific thing that could be answered yes or no. One claim that I saw the other day that seemed dubious, but I didn't look into it, was that Amber Heard was actually snorting cocaine while on the witness trial. There's a GIF of her kind of blowing her nose, and people are saying it actually looks like she's taking drugs. I think that would be hard to prove, but that's the kind of thing that is a dubious, like a questionable sounding claim that could be answered yes or no. Even if you can't get to an answer, it is possible that someone has that answer. And so that, I think, would be a good claim to investigate for this topic, for a good topic to investigate for this assignment. Others, a lot of the vaccine and COVID-19 stuff is pretty, it's widely discussed, and I think a lot of people are tired of talking about it. So some of you did suggest topics along that line, and that's fine. And if you're interested in it, the big thing to look out for is, like, if there is a topic that you can just find an answer to on Snopes. Like, so if you just go to Snopes, and like, I'm literally just going to try ivermectin here. I haven't done this ahead of time. I don't know. But, okay, so there's actually a lot about ivermectin. Here's the big one. Does it cure COVID-19? And there's a pretty long article here. The top line for Snopes is that it's unproven. I mean, this is one of these things that's going to have, data that you have to dig into, and there's probably studies going on that are not concluded yet. There's lots of things that are unknown. So this is the kind of research you would have to do to be able to answer the question. And Snopes has already done it, so that might make it a little bit hard to do. Oh, and here's the thing I just mentioned about the cocaine sniffing. So this says they think this is miscaptioned, so that's interesting too. Okay, well, that could still be worth looking into. This looks like a much shorter article than the ivermectin one, so there might still be work to do. Basically, you want to find something where there's some work to do. Like, you're doing some original research, some original fact-finding of your own. And, not really original research in the sense of, like, you're not going to do an epidemiological study of your own, but you're going to go look at studies, you're going to go look at expert opinion, you're going to look at other sources to try to come up with a reliable answer that is not already really a reliable and accurate answer that is not already readily available. And since this one is kind of a provisional looking one, that might still be worth looking into. Okay, so if you have any questions about it, if you want to run samples by me, that's fine. I will keep checking the forum to see if people keep submitting those things and give you feedback through Discord DMs with those if I have some feedback. But I do want you to settle on a question, really today, if not. Or just literally as soon as possible. So you need to settle on one so you can start doing the work. And so please get that settled. In some of my feedback that I sent you on DMs, I'm saying things like, these two sound good. Which one do you want to go with? Or, can you think of a different way of phrasing this? Or I'm trying to get you to clarifying that final topic. So do that. And then remember what you should be doing. Something you should probably do pretty early, actually, is make a copy of the template. So the document template, which is in the assignment page here. Make a copy of this for yourself and change the title to your claim, whatever that is. Like, did Amber Heard snort cocaine on the witness stand? If you wanted to do that one. So make sure you do that. I'm actually going to put this back to what it was before, but make sure you change that and then start filling it in. And this is an example of what it might look like as it's filled in. This particular student did a bit of work to kind of rearrange the template a little bit. I'd rather you not do that. I'd rather you keep it to the way it looks and the way it's structured right now, examples, background, evidence. But this person did a good job of finding evidence, finding research. And then also added this here, which I also thought was nice. This is the Google Trends graph. So if you're looking at a topic like this, like a kind of a recurring topic, something that comes up over and over again, something that's not related to like an ongoing trial, for example. This is the kind of thing that does come up over time and then waxes and wanes. And a Google Trend search can be an interesting way to find out how people have been interested in that. So let's take a look at it. So it's trends.google.com, and you can search, kind of see what people are searching for, basically. So these are numbers. The numbers on the left are relative numbers; they're not raw numbers. So it's just kind of showing you how much more likely are people to search for Taylor Swift than Kim Kardashian as of May 19th at 12 a.m. Like there's a big spike in Taylor Swift. It looks like, I don't know why, but then that kind of leads you to wonder, okay, maybe we can figure out why. But let's replace some of these. Let's replace since we were looking at the COVID stuff, ivermectin versus, what was that other one? The chloroquine, that one. I can't spell it. So if you look at these two, right, so there's a general kind of fall off here, but ivermectin is kind of winning, at least for the past few days. So we could also change the time period here. So instead of it being the past 7 days, let's look at it over the past 12 months. And yeah, so there's a big spike of ivermectin searching around August to September last year. So yeah, we can understand why that is. We can look at the whatever narratives were coming out around those different things whenever that, in August, I guess, is when people started talking about it that way. We can check over the past 5 years, and you can see how there was an initial spike for hydroxychloroquine, and then it kind of leveled off and stayed that way. Anyway, if your search, if your topic is the kind of thing that people might be searching for, then a Google Trends graph can be a really helpful addition to your article. So I recommend it if it makes sense. Okay, so you notice though, in terms of the writing, right? So there's the original claim. There are some examples of people making the claim. These are pictures of tweets. These aren't links to tweets, because tweets can be changed and deleted. For tweets and really a lot of other content, it's often better to take a screenshot or to use something like archive.today to capture a copy of it, and then embed it in your article, talk about it, describe the source, summarize it if you need to. And then for evidence, this is where you say, okay, so the background is like, the examples are people actually making the claim. The background is like, why would they make this claim? And then the evidence is, what is the actual answer and how do you know? And you notice what this writer has done is he cited all of his sources, and all the sources are cited down here. And these are reliable sources. So this is PubMed, which is like an aggregator site, but this is an article published by the NIH. Here's one, the American Cancer Society. So these are reliable sources. These are good sources that this student has been using to answer this question more definitively. Okay, so this is where you're headed, something like this. It could be a little longer. This one's kind of brief, but it does get to the point and answers the question very clearly, which I definitely like. Okay, so this is the kind of my discussion of the specific assignment here. Just remember to submit your ideas for the claim very soon. It does not have to be these. It could be something else, as you're seeing here. And in fact, some of these are not actually great choices. They're just here to give you examples of the kind of thing to look for. I spend a little bit of time, as I said, browsing some fake news websites, by the way, and just to warn you, I found it really depressing, honestly, and to look at, and I don't necessarily recommend that if you are struggling to find an idea. The other thing that I found useful, unfortunately, is I have a few friends on Facebook where, I don't know if you know this, on Facebook, you can choose to ignore people. So like you will never see posts by them, but you still are friends with them. And so there are certain people in my life that I'm still friends with for, social reasons, I guess. But I don't ever want to see their post because they just post conspiracy nonsense. So I don't want to see that. So I went and looked at some of those profiles of friends of mine that have a reputation for that. And I got some ideas from them, I'll just say. One of them was this one, that COVID vaccines change human DNA. This is something that's come up in many different forms, and it's kind of a mutation of the original, this claim from a while ago that vaccines have nanotechnology that's going to reprogram human DNA with alien DNA. That was interesting. But this idea now, there's some study about this that people are kind of putting in some context to kind of keep looking at this idea about whether they can change human DNA in spite of what the scientists and the CDC say about it. And this one I found this morning, and I just thought it was kind of ridiculous, a kind of ridiculously long headline, so that's why I included it on the list of samples. I don't know if you actually want to look into this, but I mean, this is almost directly quoted from a headline I saw on a fake news website today. So dirty bombs are going to be combined with mRNA vaccine suppression of chromosomal repair mechanisms in order to unleash a cancer death wave across America. What I learned about by kind of skimming the article is that there is this supposed weapon technology that China has that is going to basically, it's like bombs. They're going to be detonated in the U.S. and something about them is going to trigger all of us who have been vaccinated. It's going to do something to us because we have had this vaccine that will make us all have cancer. That's the claim. So that's the kind of claim that has so many layers to unpack that it is maybe too much to take on for an article like this, but it is an example of something that I literally saw this morning as one of the most widely shared articles on this website that I found. Anyway, find a good claim and start working on it. That's what we're doing today. So let me see if there's anything else. Yeah, so today the main things I do want to look at are, as I said, the sponsored content and the viral images, activities from the web literacy textbook. I'm going to transition into going through those next and show you how to do them on your own as well. But I wanted to give you a couple of just kind of useful tools and things to know about. Like I said, there's the archive.today is a useful tool to capture something. If you find something questionable on the internet, there is a good chance that it's not going to stay there for very long. If it's disinformation, for example, it might get taken down from whatever platform it's hosted on. If it's a spammy website, it might just sort of change and become something else at any moment without any warning. So archive.today, this is powered by the same kind of thing that runs the Wayback Machine, which you might be familiar with, which is in archive.org, and I use this very frequently. Archive.today is just a little bit quicker, and it does a little bit better with social media kind of content. So if there's some kind of tweet you see, for example, this would be a good place to capture a tweet. Let me just see what's going on Twitter today. I don't know. You can't just pick a tweet to capture. So, well, you know what I can do? I can look at my own tweet. I posted this kind of inane tweet, or not inane, but this kind of one. Oh, and Jen are you watching, Jen? Okay, that's great. I posted this tweet last night about the tomatoes. I got a bunch of tomatoes. Where's my original tweet? There you are. Hey, good to see you. So I posted this tweet last night because I got a bunch of extra tomatoes accidentally, and I'm trying to figure out what to do with them, and I was looking for ideas. I got some really good ideas. So I don't know what panzanella is, but it looks good in this picture, so I'm going to check that out. I was thinking of probably just roasting them, and then I can sort of put that on toast, and that could be like a sort of a pizza kind of thing. I don't know. But let's say like you want to, anyway, the whole point of this was just to show you that I can capture a specific tweet using archive.today. So that's what I'm going to do. This is the URL for my particular tweet about the tomatoes, and it's going to load here in a little bit. Yeah. I'm wearing a green shirt. I mean, my shirt is, I don't know if you can see, I like this. I like wearing this shirt when I stream sometimes because it's a rainbow, and so part of it is the same color as my green screen, so it gets chroma keyed out, so it's like there's a hole in my chest. It's kind of fun. Okay, so this is all just running. As you can see, this is just running its own thing. Nothing to do to interact with it. It's just saving a copy of this, and once it's done, it'll tell me the results, I assume. Looks like it's almost done. And I do recommend doing this if there's a tweet you're interested in. Something, another, I feel like I'm jumping all over the place today, but something else just occurred to me that you might be interested in looking at as far as, a topic, right, for the web literacy assignment. You've probably heard Elon Musk is talking about buying Twitter. And one of the things that he keeps kind of bringing up is the number of bots on Twitter. And that's an interesting thing to investigate. So there are several possible things interesting to investigate. One would be to figure out how do we know a Twitter account is a bot account? That is a surprisingly difficult question to answer, and there are lots of people who have answers to that question but have a hard time, I think, proving that they are right. Basically proving that their methodology is actually sound, including Elon Musk. So one question, I mean, this is maybe a big one for this article, but like a question to investigate might be like, how many bots are there on Twitter? And you will find very different claims about that. you'll find, for example, some researchers, I think it was at Carnegie Mellon, that came up with a methodology that a lot of people use, but there are some reasons to think that their methodology, I think, is incomplete, let's say. So here's a copy of my tweet and the replies there, and this is now available to access, and it's public. There you go. And this is something that I can then link to. So instead of linking somebody to this status right here, I could link to this URL, which is archive.ph/MIUIT. And that's just a shortened link for this archived copy of this tweet. So that's better, right? Because it is possible to delete a tweet, and and maybe someday they'll make it possible to edit tweets too, and then it might be useful to see the different versions of it. I actually don't want them to make tweets editable. I kind of like that they are what they are, and that's it. But who knows? Okay, so let's go back. The other tools I wanted to show you all, where's my slideshow? Here it is. Okay, is using the reverse image search in Google Images. And this is something I hope you know about already. You may already know. I hope you do. This is a really useful thing to do for all kinds of reasons. And right now we're going to be using it to try to investigate the origins of particular images, but you can also do it for like other images. It's often pretty useful. There's a project I'm working on that I'm not going to get distracted by talking about right now, that I'm using this a lot. I'm using reverse image search a lot for that particular project. Also, Google searches have a lot of tools built into them as well. Now, yesterday I did mention DuckDuckGo. DuckDuckGo is an alternative to Google. I mean, it's a search engine, and it has its own things in it too. I think it has its own reverse image search. Let's just see. If not, of course, Google's is fine, but let's see. It looks a lot like Google, right? I mean, if you look at it here, you can see that it actually, just the way that the simplicity of it, the white background, the image, the color here, it looks pretty straightforward. Okay, I don't know what that emoji means, but hello. Let's see if they do have. I don't know if they have a reverse image search. I don't. If they did, I think I would probably see it here, but I don't. So, anyway, they do have some advanced things that are pretty useful, and one of them is the anytime thing. So if you're looking for a particular image and an image is being shared as allegedly recent, we can look at it here in terms of, but we can filter it by when it was posted a little bit here. We can also search using licenses, but this is not actually as robust as the Google image search. So let me switch over here to the Google image search. So the Google reverse image search, you can search by image, you can click on this icon and you can paste an image's URL, or you can upload an image and then it will do a reverse search to try to see where that image is being used on the web, or where similar images are being used on the web. And again, that can be really useful if you're trying to figure out where an image came from and what the original context was, which is what we're interested in here. Keep losing my tabs. And finally, of course, just the advanced search tools in general. Like, so Google, I showed you a few of them just now on DuckDuckGo. Google has these as well. When you're going here, you can say, I'll just keep doing this. I don't know what kind of ads I'm going to start getting if I keep searching for ivermectin, but the advanced tools can give you some more context. So I noticed that you can search by things within the last year, things within the last hour, and so on. So if you want to get the most recent results, this is it. And you can see there are a few actually. But you can also search with whatever, and you can also search within a custom range. So if you wanted to find out, what was going on between, I don't know, 1900, just to kind of set it all the way back, and 2015. So this would be, in most cases, well before COVID, right? I say in most cases because it is possible for a website to have the wrong date on it, but like here's a study about ivermectin in the treatment of head lice. Pretty different than what we're talking about in the context today. So this could be a way to filter out results that are not going to be helpful, or that are going to be giving you the wrong information, that you're just like reinforcing the misinformation if that's what you're trying to filter out. Okay, so what other advanced tools are there? There's also, you can search in the news only instead of the main Google search. You can also sort it differently. You can sort it by date. If you're looking for just like the original occurrence of this, you can search, you can filter by date. It looks like the earliest they have is 2010. You can hide duplicates. Yeah, this is pretty nice. What else do we have for tools? I guess that's about it. So these are tools that you should be able to use and should be useful if you're trying to discover and explain the origins of the claim that you're investigating. Okay, so let's practice a bit here. I'm going to actually switch over. I'm going to actually pull in a Discord view here for a minute, just so I can show you what I've got set up in Discord and what I plan to do with that. So, this is where we are, week 2, day 2. This is today's notes for today. There are 2 activities from the textbook that I would like for you to complete, today or whenever you watch this. And the first is reviewing and searching for sponsored content. The next is going to be reversing the stream or going upstream to find the source of content. Specifically images. Images are a little bit easier to do this with, so that's why it's a good practice. But you may find that you need to do the same idea but for ideas instead of images, and that's another challenge. Let's start off by talking about sponsored content and what that actually is. So if you look through the textbook, what you should be doing, and as you read along, is you should have read now at least these first 3 pages where it says like why this book, and then you can kind of click through it this way. The 4 moves, the fact-checking habit by checking your emotions. This is where I was saying like don't trust your gut, because that's your emotional response, and you don't want to respond to that. You want to think with your brain, I guess. And then the next sections of this talk about how to actually do this, and the going upstream, that's really the most intensive, or the most that's where you'll spend most of your time if you're doing this kind of thing. So there's a lot of things to understand or think about related to that. For the first is to talk about the first thing that he talks about in the textbook here is sponsored content. Sometimes this is an important thing to know about, because you might see something in a secondary claim that's saying like, this was according to naturalnews.com or according to CNN.com or something like that. They might attribute a source incorrectly. And these are things that look like articles. Sponsored content are things that look like articles but are actually ads. And you'll often see them in kind of grids like this. And they are sometimes mixed in with actual content, and they are meant to look like content. So that's kind of a trick. It's kind of a tricky thing, and this is definitely something that happens and that you'll see. Now, I've found that it is helpful sometimes to turn off your ad blocker so that you see as much as possible, because that's what we're trying to do right now. Is we're trying to actually perceive that all. We're trying to see what that is, see how many examples of sponsored content we can find, and since it's ads, a lot of times your ad blocker, like I mentioned yesterday, if you use uBlock Origin like I do, you might see some of that blocked, and so that's why I'm going to recommend possibly turning that off as you start looking for it. But this is what it looks like, and it's very clearly labeled on the websites in question. It says sponsored usually, or something like that, some other term like that. So let's look at some examples. So this isn't necessarily just ads that we're looking for. We're looking for specific, things that are trying to look like content but are not. Okay. All right. So here's the activity, and I've got a. This is I'll read the instructions here, then I'll show you how to do it in Discord, then I'll come back and actually try to work through it a little bit. So this is the idea. These are 8 websites that are listed here, and these are not just the website in question, but the specific web page on these websites, so the specific articles here. Because you can see there's actually 2 from CNN. So, but as far as the sources, we're looking at CNN, Vox, BuzzFeed, Washington Post, Huffington Post, Breitbart, and New York Times. And so what I'd like for you to do, the first thing to do is create a off the top of your head ranking. So predict which of these is going to have the most sponsored content, which of these is going to have the least, which ones are going to be in the middle, and create a ranking 1 through 8. So these are listed here in random order, but you're going to list them in order of most to least amount of sponsored content off the top of your head without looking. So just kind of guess what you think it's going to be. And once you've got that, then I'd like for you to post that in Discord, and then you'll do some research to find out what is their actual ranking. So actually look at each of these pages, count the amount of sponsored content, and then adjust your ranking accordingly, and then post that final ranking as a reply to your initial one. Okay, so let me show you how to do that in Discord. So let me, let's see, where's OBS? There we are. I need to add my Discord window back. It did not grab Discord. Okay, there we go. So this is Discord, and I've got a few new channels that I've added here on the left. Let me make this a bit bigger. And you'll find them useful, I think. So, except I'm now in front of that. Oh, there we go. So the Discuss Sponsored Content channel, it's under the discussions category. On the left is Discuss Sponsored Content. And yeah, so Jen's already doing it in Twitch. But the idea is post this in here, and I'll just go ahead and take, so Gazemer keeps typing emoji. So this is what you should do. So so I'm going to pretend I'm going to do this here. And I've got the instructions, by the way, pinned to the top of this channel, so you'll see them. So Jen went with BuzzFeed and post. And I do recommend like actually type out the names of these so it's easier for other people to see your answers and see what you mean. Breitbart, so that they can, you know, see if they have the same initial rankings at least. Washington Post. Fox. Okay, so you can see how I'm doing that. I just typed these names. I followed Jen's ranking. So thanks, Jen. So that's what you do. So post your initial thoughts. And then what you should do is actually go and look and do some counting. So I'm not going to go through all this right now because I want you to do this on your own, of course, but I'll show you how to do the counting and then how to post your results. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and hide Discord for now and take a look at this ranking. So I'll just take a look at, I'll just pick Vox.com. And so this is, you know, so far, I don't know if you know Vox, it's a, I don't know, pretty run-of-the-mill kind of web journalism kind of thing mainly. And I want to turn off my ad blocker so I can make sure to see everything here. And my ad blocker is saying that it did actually block 12 things already on this page. So I need to, you know, go ahead and benefit from that. Okay, so some of these obviously, as you see, are literally obviously just ads. So promo codes available. That's not sponsored content. That's just an ad. So let's see if we can find sponsored content. So here's another ad. Here's some links to other stories, right? So the Supreme Court story, the Depp Heard trial. Still more things that are very clearly ads. I'm not seeing any sponsored content yet. Oh, here's some. It's labeled sponsored content. So that gives me quite a few. So let's see. Sponsored content. So we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you can tell that this is, I mean, it's structured like an article. You have an image and you have a headline and it looks like content, but it's actually not content. So if you click on this link, it's not going to be another article on Vox.com. It's going to be, this is going to take you to CapitalOneShopping.com. I can tell because I can see what the URL is when I hover over it. This one's going to take me to guard.io. This one will take me to sptrkr.com, whatever that is. So that's not really content, right? Now this down here, you notice how similar this looks. So you've got images with headlines and bylines. This is content. So this actually, I was unsure at first because, you know, the images don't really tell me much about what these actually are. But this is actual other content on Vox.com. So, okay, good. So if I were going to, you know, record a score for Vox.com, I'd probably create a spreadsheet because I like spreadsheets for this kind of thing, and I'd write Vox.com in one column and the number of sponsored content, the sponsored content count in the other column. And for this article, it looks like it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the answer is 6 for Vox.com. Now you might actually see something different. A lot of this stuff is generated dynamically and will change very frequently, so you may see a different number than 6, but right now I'm looking at this and I'm getting 6 for this Vox.com article. So then the idea is, as the assignment proceeds, is to work through where was I? Here we go. Take a look at the other ones, do the same kind of thing and count them. And again, we're looking at the specific post if possible. So not WashingtonPost.com, their homepage, but this specific article, Washington Post. This one looks like it's available for free. Sometimes Washington Post throws up their paywall. I'm not really sure how that works. If you do get that paywall, just skip it. Don't worry about it. Looks like it's fine right now. But I still have my ad block on, which is probably why I haven't actually seen any. I don't see any sponsored content right now. But like I said, my ad block is probably blocking it. I have to turn that off and on site by site, basically. In fact, I should probably turn it back on for Vox because I don't really want to see ads. Where is it? Where's my... Oh, there it is. I couldn't see it because it was grayed out. Okay, so now I have my ad blocker back on. So do all that for each of those, and the... Oh, that's a good idea. What is that? 12feet.io? Oh, nice. Okay, this is a good thing to know about. Thanks again for Carbon again coming through in the comments. So yeah, this looks like a nice way to get around paywalls. There are other ways too, but this looks like a really convenient one. Yeah, thanks. I've been looking for something like this. Cool. So once you've got your ranking, let me go back to Discord and show you what you should do once you've got that final ranking. Let me turn Discord back on. And what you should do is create a threaded reply to your comment. So if you see, as you hover over a message, you've got a list of tools popping up here on the right, and one of them says create thread. So what I'd like for you to do is create a thread responding to your initial ranking. So it's not a reply. You can't, I mean, it is possible to reply to yourself, but what we're doing instead is creating a thread. And the reason for that is that it'll make your responses a little bit less visible. It's kind of like a spoiler, right? So it's something that you can continue a separate conversation and still let other people use the main channel, right? So it doesn't get too crowded in there. And then, so now he would say, here's my final ranking, and then, so like I said, Vox was 6, and I don't know. I mean, you can give the raw numbers if you want, but basically give the ranking, and then reply to that and explain if you got things right, if you were surprised by anything, and anything else you learned in the process of going through that. Okay, so that's how you do that. And again, I want you to do that as a thread. Let me just go ahead and do just a placeholder comment here. Whatever. So hopefully you see how that works. Now the next activity, I guess, is a bit more, I don't know, I think it's fun. This is searching for going upstream to find the sources of so-called viral photos. So let me find, here we go. So what you should do is, after you've completed the spotting sponsored content activity, is work your way through this. So there are several pages demonstrating how to do this with specific examples, like this shopping cart example, and Caulfield goes in a lot of detail through how he did the investigation to figure out where this originally came from, and to explain the original context. It looks like a lot on a single page, but this is something he says it takes like 10-15 minutes at most. Like, this is not something that you should be, spending hours on. You don't need to spend hours on this kind of thing. You just need to exercise a bit of skepticism about particular things sometimes and figure out what the original sources are. So here's an example of one, the life of a National Geographic photographer. This guy's feet are on fire, it looks like, as he's taking this photo. And so there's a lot of things that you can do with this, and Mike Caulfield goes through it. You can search Google for the image. That's another way to access the Google image search thing, like I'm doing. Or you can just go straight to the Google image site. But he breaks down the different things you can look through. And so I want you to read this. Read through this to figure out how this works, and I think you will find it really instructive. There's some other examples. This bird attacking a guy. And then now here's the activity. So now that you've had a chance to look through that, and like I didn't really go through it right now because I'm seeing my amount of time here. I'm just going to demonstrate the technique with the first couple of these and show you how to do it yourself, and then invite you to do it yourself for the rest of them. So here's an image, and the claim is this image real or fake? And there's a secondary. There are actually 3 questions that you can try to answer about this image. So is it real or fake? And fake would be Photoshop. So is this an actual photograph taken of 4 photographers running away from a bear in a field, or is it a Photoshop? The next question, are these National Geographic photographers or not? And then finally, is that a real bear? So these are 3 questions that can be answered using the methods that are described in the previous examples. By the way, you can also try this on his other blog, 4moves.blog, and these are some examples, images that are just shared here without an answer. And so the idea is you can do your own, you can use these to practice because they're here without, without an obvious and easy answer. So let's take a look. Where is the bear one? There we go. Okay, so let's take a look at this. So we can copy the image address. This usually works pretty well, and then that gives us the URL for the image. If I go to images.google.com now, and I search by image, I can paste the URL for that image, and you can see it loaded up here. So I did that kind of quickly. So if you didn't see that, the other thing you can do is, of course, download an image, and then you can go upload an image right here, and then choose file. You can actually upload the image that you've got, and this works just as well. I don't know if you could see the pop-up that came up, but I'd already downloaded this JPEG a while ago, so I bring it up here, and now it's ready. Now, what's interesting about this image is that it is that this curriculum that Mike Caulfield has created is so popular that you will find lots of people doing this exact activity with this exact photo. So you can see that many people have made their own versions of this textbook. Mike Caulfield has licensed it that way, so people are welcome to do that. So you see lots of different versions or variations on this textbook that people are using. And so, yeah, you can definitely see all of the context if you want to. Right, so yeah, so these are the pages that include the matching image. So here's an example of, literally the same content, but hosted on a different website. So what we want to do is actually find, is there, what can we learn about this? Can we find someone posting this image that isn't just straight from this textbook? That's now become sort of a challenge. So here's one, hoaxorfact.com. I'm not familiar with that source. Hapgood.us, that's Mike Caulfield's website. So that's him talking about it originally. So, I mean, here's one that I just clicked on. This is someone doing this debunking, basically. So this is an example of prior work. We found that someone's already done it. Here's these guys running away from this. They can put it in different contexts, obviously, and make it look like they're running away from different things because it's a cutout. And then here's a stock photo of a bear. So, I mean, really, here's the answer to that first one. And so in terms of that, what I'd like to do is I'd like for you to respond to that in a thread. So I'm going to go back to Discord for a minute here and show you what that looks like, so you can see how I'd like for you to do that in Discord. So here's Discord again, and here's the bear image. So what you can do is click on the thread that I've started, and you can say, this is a composite image created in Photoshop. So that would, that's might be enough, but I think there are some other questions here, like are these guys actual photographers? Maybe, I don't know. I didn't see an answer just quickly looking at it on this one website where I found an answer. Maybe not. So if you do find out who these people are, respond to that here and post that information in this thread so that we can see that. If you figure out where that bear was originally photographed, that would also be kind of cool. So add anything else you can find about this image to this thread here. And then do the same thing with these other images. So this is another image that's in this textbook. And got too many tabs, but yeah, it's the next one in this image, in this image page. And it's a guy apparently hiding inside of a swan. So, is it real or not? And again, it's not just is it real or fake, but there's actually a bit more, right? So is this a real image or a Photoshop? If it's real, can you find who that is? Find out who that is in the swan. If it's fake, can you demonstrate how it's faked, how it was faked? And I don't know. This one's harder. I'll just say that. Then this is another one. This one looks questionable or kind of weird, so that might be a thing to investigate as well. And I've also shared in Discord. Did I lose Discord? There it is. In Discord, I posted the RAM photo. I also posted a couple more images that are not in the textbook, but I think would be interesting to look at. So let me show you. I posted this image because this is an image that I also came across when I was doing some looking around fake news websites, and this is an image that came up in a few different contexts. So this is another one to, I guess, debunk. But the questions here I think are a little different. Let me see what I've posted in here. Yeah, so you might recognize some of these people in this photograph, but the main claim at the center of this photograph is that the person, well, you can't see my cursor for some reason, but there it is. So yeah, this person here is Jen Psaki, I think she's now passed on the press secretary, but she has been the press secretary for the Biden administration. And this is a photograph of her wearing a hat with a hammer and sickle pin, allegedly. Like, this is the claim, but this is a hammer and sickle pin indicating her ties to Russia. And also confirming that narrative is the person to her right, to our left, that's Sergei Lavrov, who's the Russian foreign minister. I don't remember the woman's name on her other side, but she's also a Russian State Department's representative. And then, of course, that's John Kerry, who at the time was the Secretary of State. So this image has been circulated in some ways, and one example is a headline explaining that this is a demonstration of Jen Psaki's corruption by Russia, or her commitment to Russian propaganda. So that's a dubious claim, and so that's the kind of thing that this image could be used to support that dubious claim, or if you learn more about this image, perhaps you could find that it doesn't really support that claim, or it doesn't fit that particular narrative. So I include this one because I think what you'll find if you look into this is that there are often two kinds of questions about images. Like, is this actually a photograph of reality? Or that's the first question. And then the second question is, like, is the caption actually explaining what this image is about? It's very easy to miscaption something to represent reality in a way that's false, to put a different kind of narrative around reality. And I think you'll find that that's the case for some of the images in the textbook, and also on the 4 Moves blog if you look into any of these on your own. Okay, so that's the main thing for today. Yeah, context is pretty important, as we say. Right, so these are the activities for today. The other things you should, of course, be working on is starting on your fact-checking article. In fact, once you get this template copied, like once you got your topic and you're happy with it, and I'm happy with it, like I've told you to go ahead with it, go to File, make a copy of this, and go ahead and share this with me so I can see your progress on it as you start working on it. Just go to Share, and then get link. Anyone on the internet can comment is the current link. You can use that link if you want, or ideally what I'd say is anyone can anyone can view is okay, but anyone can comment at least. You can also give me edit access, but I don't really need that. I'm not going to edit your document for you, but I would like to leave comments on it as a way to help you find the right thing to say, or offer points of clarification or whatever I can do to help it. So at least set it up to anyone with a link can comment, copy the link, and then send that to me. You can email it to me or DM it to me in Discord, or you can also just share it directly with me if you go to here and just type in my email address, but you have to use my Gmail address, not my UNW address. So it's zach.whalen@gmail.com. So you can do that too if you prefer. Okay, so I'm getting ready to wrap up for today. So let me just kind of review the notes and see if there's anything else. I have a fair amount written out in the notes, really, so you could probably work through these activities on your own just by reading the notes and taking a lot away from that. But hopefully my walking through it on the video is helpful as well. I think having 2 different ways of delivering the same content is often pretty helpful. So this is your ideas, right? So learn how to complete. So these are your tasks for today. Complete the sponsored content on websites activity. Complete the photo activity on the reading upstream activity for photos. and then start working on your articles. If you have not yet filled out the form, requesting specific topics, then please do that as soon as possible. I see I just got a couple in here. So good. So I will respond. I see I got one from Garrett. So I will reply to that. I'll send you a DM and we can talk about a couple of things. So cool. All right, great. And thanks, Nighty Bobuddy, for sharing your Google Doc already. Thank you. All right, well, I'm getting ready to wrap up the stream, as you can kind of tell. So I will continue to be online throughout the day. I will usually have my green dot active on Discord if I'm online. I just turned it on for now. And if you see me online, you're welcome to, or even if you don't see me online, you can always send me a DM and I'll see it whenever I can. My office hours will again be this afternoon from 1 to 3. Please make an appointment if you'd like to talk with me. I might be just online. If you go to whereby.com/ZachWhalen, I might just have that online, but I might not. So I won't necessarily have basically my webcam on unless I know I'm expecting someone. So let me know. You can also just reach out on Discord, of course. We can chat there. Okay. I think that's all I have to talk about today. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us and helping out today, Jen. That was great. Appreciate that, and good to see you online. So yeah, I'll turn on my background music and do the crossfade over into my outro scene. So, all right, have a good day, everyone.